And welcome you all to our July Comagine Health Patient Family Partnership Hub meeting. Thank you all for being flexible with the scheduling for this one. I hope you had a great holiday last weekend or last week and a great week in general. And we'll go ahead and jump right in. Just some Zoom features. As you all may know, we have the chat is always available for you during the meeting. If you'd like to participate in discussions through the chat, you're more than welcome to. We also have messaging on if you want to message a specific person. And I am going to turn on live transcript right now. It's available if you need it. There's the CC down at the bottom on your menu. And that'll show you the live transcript. And then again, if you also want to participate in discussions, you can raise your hand using the reactions button on your menu. And I'll pass it to Katie for Comagine's mission.
Hi, everyone. You're looking at Comagine Health's mission. Together with our partners, we work to improve health and create a better healthcare system so that people and communities will flourish.
Yeah. And then we are PFCC partners. We're working with Comagine Health to bring you all this Patient Family Partnership Hub. Our mission at PFCC Partners is to center the inclusive human experience of health, reinvent through radical collaboration, be a catalyst for system transformation. Our vision is a health system transformed, one that works with people and through communities as a partner in their well-being. We do that through our values of equity, inclusion, diversity, collaboration, and being solution-focused. And this is the Patient Family Partnership Hub. It's a place for you all to come and help improve Comagine Health and healthcare in Comagine Health. And some of you may be coming from existing PFACs like the Utah PFAC or the ESRD Patient Advisory Council. We do offer engagement opportunities for you all, events, community, like our online forum community, and skills development opportunities. And also these monthly meetings as well. Our agreements we like to go through before each meeting. We want you to make this meeting a priority when you're here. We do open the meeting 10 minutes prior to start if you'd like to join us and just hang out. We do provide a rough estimate of how long we will spend on each agenda item ahead of time and provide context and discussion questions as well. We can use a parking lot if we have agenda items that we need a table for next time. And then again, in that group discussion, you're more than welcome to use that raise hand function on your menu to contribute or the chat. And we do record these, and the recording and summaries are shared out after the meetings. It's just for you all for follow-up. And then if anything comes up during the meeting that is a concern, you're more than welcome to private chat a Comagine Health or PFCC Partners team member. And here's our agenda for today. It's going to be all about recruitment. We want to broaden the voice of the Comagine Health Hub. So we're going to talk about how we can do that today. And so we'll do that by going over the sphere of influence activity that we introduced in the last meeting. We will review the previously created recruitment materials. There's a few recruitment materials that we will go over, and then talk about how you all can help with recruiting for the hub. But first, we'll start off with some introductions. So let us know your name, where you're calling in from, and your go-to summer snack. So as you all know, I'm Laura Jackson, and I'm calling in from Eugene, Oregon. And my go-to summer snack this summer has actually been, I've just been eating watermelon all summer. It's been watermelon everything, like watermelon sparkling waters and just cutting up watermelon, and it's just always in our fridge right now. So, and my husband doesn't eat it, so it's all mine. I will take it. All right, I'll go down my list here. We'll start off with Joanne.
I'm Joanne Brady Armstrong, and I'm in Bellingham, Washington. I don't have a summer snack right now. I'm in the process of rearranging my diet again, so. But I would eat watermelon all day if I could. It's like my favorite, or that or raspberries. There's my but
Thank you for
when you're
joining.
when you're diabetic, you have to be pickier than you really want to be. So it's
Very true. Very true.
and
Well,
I've been a
welcome.
member a long time, working with Lisa, so I had to take a little leave, but I think I'm back to 80% health. I'm not going to say any higher. I'm still working on it, but things are going well.
Good. I'm glad to hear. 80% is pretty good, I would say. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, I'm glad I could.
Yeah, me too. Ashley.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ashley Sylvester. I am in Vegas, and it's so hot right now. I don't even want to eat. So
Yeah, ice
it's just
maybe.
miserable. Yeah. So I mean, I don't really have snacks. It's just like make sure you drink your water. That's really what we're focused on right now. So
Totally.
but I will never, ever, ever turn down chocolate. Ever.
Yeah.
So yes.
I hear you on that one. Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Chris Morgan. Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
There you go.
I apologize.
That's okay.
My go-to snack is probably honeydew, but like the first lady said, I'm diabetic, so have to be very careful, but it's either eating that or honeydew this, honeydew that. So I answer those. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Chris. Lisa.
Well, I'm Lisa, and I'm in Beaverton, Oregon, and my go-to snack is either barbecue potato chips, mesquite potato chips, alderwood potato chips. You get the idea, right?
Yeah.
And then we go to the other spectrum of raspberries. And I've been known to get out of the car and start picking raspberries on the side of the road. I'm the crazy one.
I feel like that's an Oregon thing.
It is. Yeah, it's an Oregon thing.
Yeah. That and blackberries, they are everywhere.
Love them. Love them.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. Jan?
There we go. I'm Jan Lambert. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's pretty hot here too. I think it's like 94 today or something, and it's gonna get hotter this weekend. As far as snacks goes, I like them all, I have to say. I'm eating pistachios right at the moment. That's pretty good for me, right? But
Yeah.
I have a great weakness for chocolate, anything chocolate.
Thank you, Jan. Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Galley. I'm in Sacramento, California, and sorry I'm staying off camera today. I've been having computer issues, and when I go on camera, I tend to lose my internet, so that's fun. I've been thinking about this, and fruit I think is a good one, but I think my go-to summer snack is chips and guacamole by the pool. Maybe a margarita somewhere in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love dip, so chips and then I get dip.
I love that. Thank you, Lindsay. And Katie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Frazier. I'm located in Portland, Oregon. And right now it sounds weird, but my go-to snack is popcorn. I got some good truffle salt, and it's like the most addicting thing. It's like my midnight snack. So, but like others, I will not turn down chocolate. So
I love popcorn too. I could eat it for dinner, breakfast,
that's
lunch.
a nice thing because during summer it's too hot to cook. So I'm like, I'll just have some popcorn.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Katie. All right, just going down my list here. I think I got everybody. All right, so we will go ahead and jump right in.
Well, the latest temperature in Bellingham, Washington is 79. It's wonderful here today.
Oh,
That
Not
sounds
to rub it
lovely.
in, but
but you are.
we've been lucky.
That sounds very lovely.
Mhm.
I went to school in Bellingham, by the way, to
Oh,
West. I'm from Seattle, so sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Laura.
no, all good, all good. All right, so we're going to start our recruitment conversation off with the sphere of influence activity, which we talked about in our last meeting, kind of introduced there. And it's a way for you to kind of think about who's in your community and who's in your network, and who they know from your network. So if I were to write myself here in the middle, I could put like Lindsay here and maybe Katie here, and then I could connect who Lindsay knows and who Katie knows in these outer ones. So we did talk about this in our last meeting a little bit. We introduced it. We did send it out in a couple of emails, and I'm curious if anybody had the chance to think about their sphere of influence and who is in their sphere that they think that they could talk to the hub about.
Well, up in Bellingham, I belong to the Mount Baker Foundation, and they've done pretty much what we're trying to do already. In
Oh,
fact, I found some paperwork that I didn't know who I should send it to, but we did brochures on finding donors, helping caregivers. It's a pretty big deal up here. There's only one dialysis center. So they're busy folks. And then right now the foundation it takes the summer off, which is July and August, but I don't know what project they'll take on next, but I'll be glad to share what we have done with whoever I should send it to, because it'll save a lot of time. Because we did all the work. Well, and it worked.
yeah.
It worked. And these people know everybody. I moved here 3 years ago and COVID hit, and I stayed in my apartment, for 3 years. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to establish my world again. And but these people are totally dedicated to helping people and making people aware of what they need to look out for, what they should do. Are they interested in anything? We had no luck with the dialysis center up here. They would not let us go in and talk to patients.
Mhm.
And it was the tail end of COVID, and I was kind of confused, but they said, we have all our own things that we do for our patients. So hopefully that's changed now. We'll see this fall.
Yeah.
If they'll let us, because we offered to do Zoom meetings with a patient and answer their questions. I mean, there's now we've learned so many ways around everything that we can pretty much make anything work. So
Absolutely.
I'll offer that to you. And as I find paper, I'm cleaning. I'm purging my life. So anything I pull out, I'll send you.
Great. Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, those type of organizations that we can that have patients and family caregivers that would benefit from joining the hub, and benefit the hub from them joining and their sharing their experiences and expertise. So thank
Well,
you.
and the foundation appears is comprised of donors,
Mhm.
transplant recipients, doctors, a caregiver who did dialysis with his wife overnight. So
Mm.
he knows that side of the story firsthand. And people on the waiting list. So they've drawn people who are really in it for their knowledge. And it's been very helpful. So
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Jan.
There we go. I've invited several people and got a yes from Lisa Maurice, who you
Yeah.
all know. So she has recently joined our Utah hub. And so at our meeting on Tuesday, I invited the PFAC members there to join the hub, and Lisa said yes. So if you want to, didn't know the next step. Do you want to contact her? I mean, I know you have her contact information.
Yeah, we can definitely contact her. So with this sphere of influence, just kind of gets you thinking about who you know and who they know, and being able to, which we'll get to the recruitment materials in a little bit, but being able to just kind of pass out those recruitment materials to them, and so that they can give it to their networks. So yeah, it's just thinking about who you know and who's in your networks and who you can connect with, and whose voice is missing that we can think of from the hub. We want to think of different backgrounds, different conditions, different ethnicities, and languages even. And so we want to open up the hub is what we're doing here. So any other thoughts around the sphere of influence, or did anybody have a completed one that they'd like to share, be able to share?
Well,
Go.
After from our last meeting, now mind you, I'm on home, okay, and I've done this for 10 years. And when I first crashed 10 years, I was in a center for 45 days. Then I went into home, and quite frankly, I did not adhere to the renal, got kicked off, told you got to lose 70 pounds to be independent. I did, year and a half, back out. And so that's been a couple of years. And then my former first husband was my caretaker, died, and went through a bunch of different, and this is unusual because Oregon's centers, the amount of centers are closing. Now, I have experience in 4 centers, which is a whole lot. And it goes all over beyond the Portland metropolitan area. So since COVID, one of the barriers is I cannot get into these, being in a home, I'm isolated. I go in there once a month, and I don't even have to go in there physically once a month. I could go there once every 90 days. Okay. And so I'm not on the transplant list. I don't want to be in the transplant list. Being Native American, there's a cultural taboo. And maybe one day I'll change my mind, but I'm doing absolutely wonderful. And I'm going on my 11th year, right? Now, I have a good relationship with them. I can call the social directors. The problem is that everybody that I know, and I've known a lot of people, they're all dead except 2 people. And one of them's a widow, and he moved, and the other one is in a nursing home. And I think, I mean, you can't get through even to a nursing home with somebody that you, because I work at the church and you get getting in there. So you have that issue too, just even in a nursing home. So the barriers seem to be that getting in to places. Now I know Chris is very, very successful in his state and what he's doing. But I'm more, if you want to call it urban, which is not, it's just a little bit more difficult. But I try to give him bits and pieces. Now I'm newer to this organization. And for some of you who don't know me, I'm on KPAC, I'm in the nationals, I'm in home as well as depression and health equity. Okay. And so even belonging in different parts, most folks are transplanted. Okay. That's a whole different type of segregated type of community. The in-center people on KPAC, some of these people, because they've been in center, they'll never come out. They're always in the center. So they've got that foothold. If you're in home and you've been moved around at 3 different home offices, which is geographically about 75 miles amongst each other. Yes, that's what I had to do when I lost my caretaker and nobody was going to help me. But then I got a cousin to do it and I get recertified. So I was blessed. So it's like I can almost kind of halfway get in there. I can drop information off, but sometimes the flavor of the day is that they don't want you to talk to these patients. Okay. They don't want you to know what's going on. And it could be from blood infection rates to how many people are flunking out. I ask that, how many people are flunking out? And I get off the cuff records, and it's more than 50%. And it mostly has to do with caregiver burnout. And I understand since mine died on me and I'm on care, and that's another thing we don't talk about. We don't talk about caregivers. We don't, because the idea, and I understand the gold standard is transplantation. And I will push that and work for that right for everybody else. But for me personally, it's a little bit different. But when I talk to patients, it's about all of your options. And that's the problem, because there's no standardization. They don't even know what their options are. And a lot of folks back east, they don't even know about home. And so then when they finally step on an ESRD network, it's like there's a home option. I've been doing this for 15 years. No one ever talked to me about it. So when you have those different types of barriers, and for us to say, okay, what is our sphere of influence? Okay. If you don't go where the people are, and if you can't get to the front door, then that makes it difficult. But the solution here is CMS. They're the straw that stirs the drink. Okay. If they say, okay, let's have open advocacy days, let's get the people who have been transplanted, let's get some campaign encouragement to get them to come out to do kind of like what Chris does, and keep talking to people, because he's had that success. And it's either, okay, you get the folks that have been transplanted and kind of get them, but then you've got us who are at home who are isolated. How do you do that? You see, so I guess maybe I'm asking you, if can we somehow push CMS to try to get us in the front door and try to help? And then the other real front door is CKD at stage 2, 3, and 4 with infomercials or something. I mean, awareness, testing, diagnostic. I mean, it's research. It always comes down to money. Okay, we know that. So, but if we had this, like Diabetes Society, the Heart Association, and all that, if we had even just a fraction of their money up front and then kind of on the back end, maybe we can squeeze this CKD population in something that's more manageable than instead of the 30 million out there that don't even know they have CKD. Okay, I've said enough. Okay.
If I can jump in, I really like the way that you're thinking, Lisa. You have so many great ideas, and I think that's what, Comagine Health as an organization who is funded by CMS or through CMS, has funds to do some of these things that you're talking about, the infomercials, Jan has been on a podcast, but the whole focus of CMS, there's many different focuses. So, CKD immunizations, there's more that I can't think of right now. So, and maybe, the sphere of quote unquote influence isn't the best term for this activity, but more so, your sphere of, connectedness to the community. So thinking really broadly about people who have different life experiences that could contribute a lot to all of the work that Comagine Health does. So, you said you work at your church. What a great connection.
Oh, absolutely. I'm with the city
Yeah.
of Beaverton. Yeah, I do a lot of outreach, feeding program, hygiene kits. As far as the sphere is concerned, I know a lot of people.
Right. That's
Right.
what I'm talking about. That's an
Yeah.
incredible connection to your community. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the non-kidney community.
Mhm. And
Okay.
yeah. So Comagine Health, a section of it is the kidney community and the CKD work, but then it kind of goes beyond that to, like I said, immunizations. Laura, help me. I'm struggling with some of the stuff that we've done.
Hospital readmissions,
Yeah, hospital
Maybe
utilization.
utilizations, that's what I'm
I probably
thinking of.
said too much. I probably
No,
No,
Lisa,
no.
because
No,
that's a big part of the Comagine Health work, and I appreciate how you're thinking about the connections that you
Mhm.
have within the community, because that's a big part of it too. And especially coming off of our last meeting with Lily,
Mhm.
and the work that she's doing, like obviously, definitely one of the big arms of the work that Comagine Health is doing. So I appreciate the way that you're thinking. Yeah.
Well,
And
the other thing I would pose, and it only worked here in Bellingham. We have a huge place to draw from, which is Seattle.
yes.
I've done seminars with the National Kidney Foundation, with Lisa and her group. We tried to recruit donors. We had meetings with people on the waiting list to answer their questions. This is before COVID, so we all met in Seattle. But now, the one thing Mount Baker Foundation did here, Dr. Lombard, who has spearheaded everything here, everything in Bellingham, the building is named after him and another lady that started it. He did a recorded like a little talk explaining things, and he went to the Lions Club. I mean, he had lots of places that were willing to participate or just show it at the Lions Club meeting, the whatever. And he also, once COVID got a little more under control, he went to these meetings and asked people's questions or answered people's questions. And I think that's the opportunity, like up here, is the only thing that's going to work, because people don't go anywhere. They go home, dialysis, and the doctor. Let's not forget the doctor. You have to wait a long time, but you eventually get to see them. But those are the kinds of things that worked here. But nobody would go to Seattle. The other gal that's on the committee, besides Dr. Lombard, we were the only 3 people that came from Bellingham, and we're all still on the board because we feel like there's something we can give. I got a transplant. I got it in an unusual way. There's a story there. Everybody has a story. And the part about waiting is huge. And if you and your caregivers know some of those things or have some of those clues, again, it's huge. I was a caregiver for both my parents. My dad had kidney disease. So there's always somebody around that can help. And that may be, and I'm just throwing that to the wind, but it may be that Zoom is going to be a way to have meetings where people can be at home and tune in, or I don't know, put it on YouTube where you can log on to it. You know, there were people at the Lions Club meeting, because I listened to it, that were appalled that they shouldn't be taking anything but Tylenol because it wasn't good for their kidneys. Well, how will I get rid of my pain? Well, gee, you know, stop taking Advil or whatever it is. Your life is more important. But you got to change mindsets and you got to educate. So,
Excuse me. Absolutely. Yeah, I think you get to a great point of meeting people where they are, and Zoom is a great way to do that. Of people can, I mean, we're all from different states and we can still have this meeting today, and
Yeah.
which is really great. And I think it's also the beauty of everyone having their own sphere of influence or connectedness. Because the people I know and their experiences are going to be different than the people that Lisa knows and their experiences, and that just broadens our hub even more. So I would say go to the people that you know that would be that would benefit from this hub and from the Comagine Health Priorities. Lindsay, thank you, Lindsay, for putting those in the chat.
I'm looking for the more specific ones, so more to come in just a second.
Okay. Yeah, those are kind of the overarching priorities that Comagine has, that we have in the past and will in the future touch on and work on improving in Comagine Health and Comagine Health states. So thank you, Joanne. And Chris?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think that Lisa, well, on this sphere of influence, I think that you guys already have an agenda, right? That's what I was assuming, that we already have an agenda, right? That we're.
Yeah.
I don't think she really understood that we're, you know. I know she's got great ideas and all, you know, that we can work on later, but.
Yeah,
I'm kind of new to this, you know, and I apologize.
No.
And just, you know, I think, you know, usually when I'm new to group, I usually have documentation about the organization. I have a, you know, kind of a better grasp at just the organization itself. So any expectation or, you know, goal, a deliverable of what we're trying to do, where you target it as far as doing it, then that gives me a better understanding, since I am involved in so many various different organizations, and you know, it's important to be, of course, and I'm so heavy with the kidney health, but I have other interests. I
Yeah.
believe in being very well balanced. You know, I sing, you know, I do stuff with the city, and I have no children, but I kind of work with kids and read to kids, and I like to break it up. That's kind of always been me. I've just seem to be, because of the fact that there's not too many people that have done all the modalities of home and absolutely refuse to have a kidney, and will come right out and tell you why. And there are very few of us, and that's just because of the quality of life that I want.
We appreciate that. We appreciate all of that. And I will say, sorry, I kind of misunderstood you, Chris, but Lindsay, maybe correct me on this. We don't have like a specific agenda. We do like to help improve on what Comagine Health, as a general organization, what they're kind of working on at the moment. So it's not like one specific thing. It's a bunch of stuff that Lindsay's actually putting in the chat right there. Those are all things we've worked on in the past. Yeah. go ahead.
So this community here, the partnership hub is essentially a resource to Comagine Health. So when topics come up, like they want to learn more about patients who have been readmitted or, are high utilizers of the emergency room, they would come to us to learn from patient experiences in order to help providers or hospitals improve that. So it's been such a vast variety of topics that have been covered through these meetings. So, any meeting or any given month, it could be a different priority, but all that come from Comagine Health, because we are that resource, just like, from the ESRD network pack, you're the resource for that, that work as well. But, CKD has been a big part of the Comagine Health work, along with, and I put this in the chat, community hospitalization, immunization, vaccinations, and of course, COVID-19 over the past couple of years, which, and I put this in the chat too, but CMS is forever creating new contracts and identifying new topics of improvement for the country, so that those will most likely change in the coming months or within the next year. So there would be a whole other set of priorities. However, I don't think CKD is going away. I think that will be a consistent priority for organizations like Comagine Health.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, I think the opportunity here is the window slightly opening and you got to climb in now.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yes.
We've been sitting around waiting and saying, no, we can't expose our this or that, or there's so many directions to go.
Right.
Mm.
And that's a good point, Joanne. That's the beauty of, even Comagine Health being open to having a community like this to help inform the work that they're doing, that they're reporting directly to CMS, which is huge. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great opportunity. Yeah.
Well, I think you have another opportunity, and I'm going by past history, but my dad did dialysis for 3 years when he was 89, God love him, but he got to see his doctor once a month. If there was a forum like this where you could sign in on certain days or something like that and be a patient and ask your questions to somebody that can talk to you one-on-one oftener than once a month. I mean, my brothers and I flew from 3 different towns to go to the doctor with my dad, and we made a list. I always asked my dad, what do you want us to ask for you? And then we had our own list besides, and then gave it to the doctor when we walked in the room. So he knew what our agenda was, and it didn't exhaust my dad, who just had dialysis all day. And those kinds of things are small, but when you're a patient and you're in pain and you're feeling abandoned, and I've felt all those, and I got my transplant in a blink, but that's a totally different story. But my dad felt included. And I think that's part of what patients don't feel is included. You're hooked up to a machine, you do your time, you leave, and you see a doctor maybe once a month. You guys have smaller, well, we have them here too, but you can't get them to come to the big city, and Bellingham is by far a big city, but they just don't feel like it. They can't afford it. We had people in Seattle having their spouse drive around during their appointment because they couldn't afford to park their car.
Wow.
So, I mean, I think I've seen everything on that regard, and it's hard. And then they think about the cost of, and I've heard people say this, I can't stay in Seattle for a month if I get a transplant. I can get my medicine mailed to my house and do my dialysis at home. the cost is prohibitive if you don't have good insurance. And oh, those are all valid reasons to be concerned. But people are turning down kidneys just because of that. And the cost is terrible. I just came back from a fight with a pharmacy, so I know very well what Gengraph and Imuran cost, and getting it in a timely manner. And it's like you went to work all day and come home and you're tired. So I think it's really important to get that patient in this loop.
Mhm.
We are all knowledgeable in our own way, and everybody has something to offer. I talk about kidney transplants all the time, but I don't necessarily talk about my transplant. I talk about health
Mhm.
and take care of yourself and things like that. I believe that's why God still has me on this planet, is to teach. But if they go away with a smile on their face, or I feel like I made them feel a little better, then that's a bonus for me too. So,
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
With Comagine, because I've been doing producing videos. In fact, I've financially invested in this because the KPAC couldn't. So I said, that's fine, I'll do it. And I've done a home dialysis of as a modality of choice. And then I just got completed with another one, overcoming barriers for home therapy. And that's actually being produced, and it'll be out on YouTube. But I did that for KPAC. And because of the conflict of interest and things of that nature, I produced it and I gave that to them. But going forward, whatever I do and whomever I give it to is my choice, since I'll be the one that's paying for that and I would hold the rights on it. My question would be, does Comagine, have we thought about, is there a library, I guess, of testimonies, or are we just going to the ESRD network toolkit, or how, when we do start talking to people, does the hub facilitate something like that? Do we have that? And if so, how many testimonials? And even with the testimonials, how many people are transplanted on home? You see what I mean? Do we have a plethora or a library of resources to be able to direct people into your patient hub?
That's a really great question. Lindsay, do you know of like a resource library?
No, but we can go back to Katie, who had to drop off,
Yeah.
and ask her a little bit more information about that. I think, what we have been doing is making Meet Me bios for all of the patient family advisors who join the partnership hub, just like who you are, where you're from, and what your interests are. But as far as like patient resources, I'm sure there is. I would just have to ask Katie or do a little digging.
You're really, really absolutely successful. In fact, it was those testimonies that really prompted me in getting out of the center in 45 days. They have it on a channel, and it's dedicated all day and night long on channel 99 in Oregon, and at least my centers. And it was people who do, and it was really actually short. I would say maybe 5 to 8 minutes, and about why they decided to go into home. And I took that idea and I ran with it. And of course, I'm, with the NKF, and they've had a plethora for years on that. And if you're talking about transforming lives, you can talk about transplantation all day long, but really, quite honestly, there are people who are medically cannot do that. Okay. And there are people who do have money and resources to do that. I have 3 different insurance companies, and I'll be honest, I spend $600 a month just
Mhm.
on insurance. But I
Yeah,
don't pay
lot.
0. I pay 0. I owe nothing. Okay.
Yeah,
And my, I don't, but again, because of probably my background in Seattle, I mean, I did not only banking, but I did credit and collections, and I worked for a hospital. I knew better in my
Right.
30s and my 40s. So I get into a crash when I'm 50. I know pretty dang well what to do so nobody can come after me or my house. I mean,
right.
that's, but
So,
again, I guess I'm kind of going back to the personal testimonies, is
yeah,
that is very, very influential. It is not much money invested, and the territory you can cover when people log in,
right.
it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy.
So
So
Lisa, let me, going back to your question, Jan, you had recently done a podcast on immunizations, which, I mean, it's not like a full blown testimonial, but I'm curious if you know where that is located. Do you have access to it?
I know there is access to it. If you got a hold of I think it was a New Mexico PFAC, right?
Right.
Because, and I don't know if you just Googled it, if it would come up and you could listen to it. I listened to it, but it's a while ago now, so I don't remember how I listened to it. One thing I wanted to just mention is, the many of the projects you would work on in the hub are not kind of your pet areas of concern. It can be very broad, and it can be as simple as reviewing a document that they're going to put out and want to make sure the language is in it is understandable by normal people. But it probably won't have anything to do with dialysis or kidney center. It could have something to do with, like you say, vaccinations or something. So it's a very broad rather than specific areas. So you may not be able to talk about your specific experience with dialysis centers, on this PFAC. You would with the end-stage renal disease PFAC, but with this one, that may never be something that comes up. I just not sure if people realize that there's a big variety of projects, and if you're just interested kind of in one area, you might get frustrated because you may never get to talk about that area. Is that kind of right, Laura?
That's that's a really good point. I think yes. But also, and also,
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I think it doesn't mean to say that you also will never have that opportunity. We had that opportunity last month with Lily. So, but those kind of topics, they come and go based on the priorities of the organization. Right, Jan. I think a big part of the partnership hub is being able to be representative of patients. Or beyond. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Health access for all medical needs.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what this isn't. Okay. That gives me a more clear understanding of your just your organization, really.
And Lisa, we have an orientation that might be helpful to you. It's a short recorded orientation that we can share with you that will give you even more information about the work.
I would like that. Yeah.
I'll have Laura follow up with you with that.
Yeah, definitely. And I also wanted to say that even like Jan said, or Lindsay also said, doesn't mean that you can't contribute to things that are outside of your experience as well. So if we're not talking CKD, but we're talking, I have to go back to priorities. One of the other priorities, you can still talk about your experience and your life experience really in helping improve whatever it is that we're talking about. So yeah. All great points. So we are actually getting towards the end of the hour. It's been a wonderful discussion. And we do have a couple of recruitment materials that we made when we first started the hub. So and that was before my time here, but I believe that these materials were made with the members of the hub at that time as well. So we started with a small group of folks who helped start recruitment. So we'll take a quick look with just the last few minutes, but I will also send these materials. There's just 3 documents. Send these materials out in follow-up so you all can take a closer look. And maybe through email, we can talk about how you all are comfortable with distributing these materials. So the first one we have is actually PowerPoint slides, so I just added it in here. And we did use this one recently with our, we had an open house last month, 2 months ago, something like that. Jan was there and she was there to talk about the Comagine Health Hub. And we used a small little flyer, just quick bullet points of what people could expect from here. So we do understand with all of these materials, there are a couple changes that we are already aware of, like some of the contacts. So if you see a name you don't recognize in the contacts, don't worry. There's been a couple organizational changes since we've made these last, and since we've sent them out last. So you don't have to worry about those. We've got that. But everything else, if there is anything here that you see that doesn't make sense or wouldn't be comfortable talking towards, or anything you think could be added to these materials. So we could probably get through one of these, this one, in the next 6 minutes or so. If any of you have any thoughts or ideas that you'd like to share about this flyer here. And I'll give you a few moments to read over it.
And while folks are reading over it, I'll just share, because we already reviewed these. And one of the things that we will be updating is like providing a definition of who an advisor is. And that, you don't need, like all you need is your lived experience in healthcare to become an advisor. So making that really open and defining that, because that was the first thing that stood out to me. I'm like, well, if I'm a person off the street, what's an advisor? How am I? I don't know if I qualify for that.
Right.
That was a big one.
Oops, sorry.
I'm just curious where you says either online or in person. Unless you're going to be a member of a state's hub, I don't think it would be in person,
A
right?
great point.
Very good point. Yeah.
Yes.
Especially because we're a multi-state community.
Yeah, the hub has always been just online.
Right.
Great point.
Am I supposed to be seeing something?
Oh,
I don't see. Yeah.
are you on a phone or?
I'm on Zoom. I just see everybody's faces.
Can you scroll to a different page?
I'm on a tablet. I think that's.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't see anything other than your faces. I don't.
Okay, we will send these out in.
I did earlier when. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think, Laura, you're breaking up a little bit.
Yep, I sure am. Lindsay, if you don't mind, take.
Yep, I will wrap up, Laura, who is having trouble kind of taking a look at the materials. We'll send these out in follow up and welcome your input and new ideas of messaging to share out with before the end of the year to connect with the community boards of each state that Comagine Health represents. So this is where that information will be shared as well. And this is really just all in an effort to continue to grow the perspectives that are represented here in these conversations and in the engagement opportunities through the hub. Yeah.
An explanation of what Comagine Health is.
Yeah.
This is, if you're giving to people cold and they don't even know what Comagine Health is or why they need input from patients.
Absolutely. Good point. Yeah, and I think that goes to Lisa's questions too, because it's a lot to take in.
Well, yeah, I just thought I always like to have a visual, and I'm you know, how I look at the network or whatever region I'm responsible for the agenda, and this is and that's great. This is kind of nice that there's a bigger sphere and it's not just kidneys. I'll be honest with you, this is actually refreshing. It is. I think it's important to and I've been doing, I've been taking care of myself for a long time. Like I said, I'm a warrior, and as I've gotten older and I've seen a lot of folks transplanted. Well, I've seen a lot of folks transplanted and die, and some, go on. And, we have, at least because we have choices. And that's the most important thing, that we have such a diverse country, that everyone is different. And we're not at this country, we're not ethnically tied, we're a melting pot. And I think it's important to just keep all of our options open for everything. We're all different. We all learn different. We all communicate differently. So I think, if anything, now that I have a better understanding, I think this is good.
Great. Yeah, and that's what we want to capture here. Yeah, is that the melting pot that is, our United States. So great.
Do we think Comagine is going to get another contract from CMS?
Yes. They are actually going to get a contract revision soon. And no one at Comagine Health knows what that looks like yet, which is just the beauty of working with CMS. But once we have more information about some of those next kind of focus areas, we'll be able to share those with you. But yeah, definitely. So always more to come.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been a really great discussion, everyone. Laura will share out the materials in follow-up. And just like I said, we really welcome all and any feedback on these materials. You are the community. So if it resonates with you or if it doesn't, that's really helpful for us to know as we continue to grow this community. So thank you so much. Thank you. I hope you have a great
afternoon.
have a good weekend, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care, you too.